Hello, I'm Graham Annable, and I'm the creator of the third Twisted Graham Annable Doodle Collection book that is just out. And this is the True North Country Comics Podcast.
Welcome to the True North Country Comics Podcast, dedicated to promote Canadian comic book and graphic novel creators and supporters. I'm John Swinimer. On this episode, I chat with Graham Annable about his latest book, The Third Twisted Graham Annable Doodle Collection, and more. Please like and subscribe to this website by hitting the subscribe button to be notified about new podcast interviews and article posts. This podcast is available wherever podcasts are enjoyed. Please like, follow, and subscribe. Graham Annable is an Oscar and Eisner nominated cartoonist and animator living in Merrickville, Ontario. He's created works for television, film, video game, and comic books. The Boxtrolls, Puzzle Agent, and the Peter Ernesto series for early readers are some of his more popular projects. He's a creator of Grickle, a humorously dark world of googly-eyed beings that inhabit the Grickle Channel on YouTube, and various graphic novels like the Book of Grickle. The third book of meticulously selected cartoons by Graham Annable now exists in physical form. It's jam full of all weird and whimsical cartoons you've enjoyed on his daily Instagram feed. But don't wait for the day that the algorithms hide away all your favorites. Order today and forever preserve the special collection in your home library. Another recent publication from Graham is aimed at early readers, entitled Hide and Seek with Clyde and Monique, Clyde in Plain Sight, from HarperCollins. In this book, Monique is excited to play with her best friend Clyde. Clyde claims to be the best hider, but Monique is determined to prove him wrong in this fun, seek-along game of hide and seek. Hide and Seek with Clyde and Monique, Clyde in Plain Sight, is a level 2 I-can-read comic, geared towards kids who are comfortable with comics, can read on their own, but still need a little help. So without further ado, here's my chat with Graham Annable about his latest book, The Third Twisted Graham Annable Doodle Collection, and more. So Graham Annable, thank you very much for taking time to chat with me.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. Thanks, John.
I appreciate your time. Before we get going with all the questions, I would like to know, what are you reading today?
These days, I feel like in the last year or so, I have adopted the maybe unhealthy habit of too many books on the go at once. And so I used to have sort of a mild bad habit of maybe 2 to 3 books at once. And I say this without trying to give the impression that I'm an amazing avid reader. I'm a really slow reader, and I also get distracted easily. And so I have always sort of hopped back and forth between a few books. But lately, this last year, I think I've probably had like 5 to 6 books on the go, jumping between each. But anyway, to answer that as simply as I can, the book that I'm currently truly focused on right now is an old collection of science fiction stories. The village that I live in, seems like almost every other house has a little free library set up in front. And I pulled this book from somebody's free library like 3 years ago, and it sat on my shelf, and then I slowly started picking away at the stories in it. And lately I've gained a lot of momentum, and I'm nearly done it. And the current short story I'm reading in it is a story I've actually read before, but it was so long ago I've forgotten it, and it's like reading it for the first time again. And I'm so amazed at how damn good it is The Time Machine by H.G. Wells.
Ah, right, yeah.
Man, it just sucks you in. Like, he's so good at pulling you into his concepts and stories. I've been really, really enjoying rereading it. But yeah, this is a collection of science fiction stories chosen by the Science Fiction Writers of America back in 1970, I think. So it's just a whole mishmash of all kinds of stuff in it, but they're all incredible stories. One of the stories in there was the original short story that John Carpenter's The Thing was based on, which was also a 1950s movie, The Thing from Another World. I think that's the title of the actual short story. But the short story itself, I think, was written in the 30s. I don't know. It was fascinating to read that story and just see how everybody's extrapolated from that concept ever since. So yeah, it's been an awesome book to read.
pretty cool. You never know what you're going to find in one of those little libraries on people's lawns.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah,
Good,
I'm
good,
always
good.
regularly, always regularly checking them.
That's great. Well, we're here talking about your latest collection of Grickle comics. I'm wondering, maybe you could explain for some people who aren't familiar with it, what is a Grickle comic?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I don't know that I've ever truly answered it well enough for anybody. Let's see, to go all the way back, I used to do short stories for myself. I self-published a bunch of short stories long, long ago. This is like we're talking 25 years ago now at this point. Self-published a little comic book that was a collection of short stories. And at the time when I put the first book together, I didn't know what to call it because the short stories were a whole range of different topics and what was going to be the umbrella term to put them underneath. That the term I came up with, the word I came up with was Grickle. And it was a nickname my dad had called me when I was a kid, and it had sort of stuck with me. And it just seemed like the right, weird, awkward, bizarre word to use. And so that's what I named that collection of short stories long ago, and that has followed me around ever since. Partly my own fault because I keep reusing it, but it just I like that word, Grickle. It's kind of I don't know, it's nerdy and awkward to say. It's just a weird word, and it seems to fit the tone of the weirdness that seems to come out of me. And so the Grickle cartoons, this latest book, is a collection of basically single panel gag cartoons that I draw and post on my social media feeds. Been doing it now for over 10 years. And this is the third collection of it. And it's just, they're small books. They're 126 pages. I have to make the choice of like which ones get into those 126 pages. I mean, it's a good problem to have, but I've done so many cartoons consistently now for so many years that it's always kind of painful to have to whittle it down to the ones that are going to make it into the book. But I do my best to try to choose the ones I think people like the most, the ones that I personally like the most, and just try to make it a mix of things. Unfortunately, try to please everyone.
Sure, tough to do. Is there a special theme, or is it just whatever strikes you from an odd thought or weird instance, or what is the sort of topic?
It definitely is me just following my muse and drawing what certainly is interesting me in that time or day. But, once you've done a body of work like this, you look back and you're like, oh, there's a fairly consistent tone to all of this. I know my cartoons long ago, one of my collections of the Grickle comics, a reviewer described it as life and death with googly eyes. And I thought that's pretty good. I've used that one over the years. But as far as like sort of comparative things to give you a sense of it, it's me trying to do my best Gary Larson impersonation, I guess, with a little bit of Charles Adams, maybe a little Charles Schultz. I don't know. And name dropping those guys, I'm not saying that I'm anywhere near the level of any of those incredible masters of cartooning, but it's the void I'm trying to fill for myself, I guess. I think I've been trying to recreate the Far Side for myself all these years. I
Okay.
don't know that I fall exactly into the Far Side, but I've certainly had people say a lot of my stuff feels Larson-esque.
Oh, okay. No, that's fair. Sure. Nothing wrong with that. That's a good
No,
comparison.
I'll take the compliment for sure.
There you go. Well, they always say you should create for yourself first, but who do you think is the actual audience for your Grickle comics?
It really is first and foremost me. It's what's amusing me at the time for sure. But, not to give myself too much credit, I'm like all of us. I do exist on the internet, and you can't help but notice when certain ideas or drawings get more likes than others, and you're like, huh, I wonder why that's a thing. And then you start to sort of pursue more versions of variations of that because, oh, well, we just can't help it. We're all wired for liking attention. So that steers it. I won't lie, that steers it a little bit. Like I've definitely noticed that people seem to really like a lot of the vampire stuff I do. But it's partly I just like drawing vampires, so I'd keep drawing them and keep coming up with concepts with them. So I don't know, you could argue, I don't know, chicken before the egg, chicken or egg. I'm not sure which comes first. The fact that I keep drawing vampires makes more people like them because they're more consistently there, or
Mhm.
I am noticing that those vampires get more likes, and so I'm instinctively drawing more vampires. I don't know.
Great. When we last spoke a few years ago, and it has been a few years, you talked about your artistic tools. And I got to ask you, have your artistic tools changed since that time?
Not really. I'm a definitely a creature of habit. I don't venture out of my comfort zone as far as art tools go too much because I just, at the age I'm at now, I guess I just can't deal with the overwhelming frustration trying to learn a new tool. Yeah, I've done a little bit more, I guess, with dip pens in the last year or two, experimenting with a bit of that. And my friend Julian, who seems to just know all things about all art tools everywhere, kind of guides me in like which nibs to try out and which ink to use. And I've done a little bit more dabbling in that area than previous. But at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, most of the illustrations, certainly the ones that I do for the Grickle cartoons that you see on the internet, are almost always at the same sort of point zero 0.02 micron pen markers and pencil crowns. And every now and again, I'll venture into some watercolor as well.
And then do you bring that into a computer and manipulate the images then?
Not for the stuff that I post on social media. That generally is always hand drawn, scanned, and that's it. I mean, I will bump up the saturation a little here and there or try to darken some lines, but I really don't mess too much with what the original looks like
Oh,
digitally. Now, all that said, that's specifically what I do for the cartoons that are collected in this book, the third Twisted Graham Annable Doodle collection. But professionally, I work as a story artist and concept guy and all that in animation, and I also work in graphic novels and comics. And most of that work, not most of it, all of it really is I do that digitally. I draw with a stylus on my Cintiq monitor. That's all done, in the computer.
okay. Now, originally I noticed your book that you mentioned on Instagram. So I got to ask you, what activities are you doing to promote your book?
Basically, just filling my social media channels with as much PR as people are willing to stomach from me, and just letting them know that the book is out there. Again, this book, this collection, all three of these Doodle collections, they're all, I've just self-published them. So they're small print runs. They're very boutique-y. I don't have any sort of distribution deal or publisher involved other than myself. And so really the only place you can buy them online is in my online shop, gricklemart.com. But each of those books comes with a signed bookmark. I try to make it worth everybody's effort to order directly from me. But yeah, that's kind of the only place you can get them right now. Lucky, like the first two books now, yeah, the second book just a few weeks ago, they're both completely sold out. So really, the third book is the only one that's available now. So it's tricky, being self-publishing and doing small print runs, it's expensive, it's tricky, and you just do your best to gauge like, okay, if I print this many, hopefully I can sell them all and I'm not stuck with boxes and boxes of books that nobody wanted. And so far I've been doing a decent job of predicting the general interest for these books out there. But again, they're small print runs, so they never last forever or for too long. I've had lots of people request reprints of the first two books, but I got to figure out how to do that in an economical way.
That's a challenge. And speaking of
Yes.
challenges, I guess in the time of this recording, there's some issues of trying to get things shipped to customers. I'm wondering how you're dealing with that issue of the current issue with the Canada Post strike, and then certainly tariff issues with the United States. How are you getting books to customers?
Yeah, it's made everything like for everyone very upended and not stable. Nobody knows what the deal is going on right now with any of it. So, and I'm in a bit of a weird situation because when I first established and began gricklemart.com, the online shop, I was still living and working in the States. So my shop, it's run by my amazing friend Melissa, is still in the States. And it just has gotten extra weird now with like having to deal with things that are mailed to me and things that are mailed directly to the shop down in Maine, Portland, Maine. It's just been a bit tricky. We managed, thankfully, to get our print run of this third Doodle collection. I got it ordered just before all the craziness with the tariffs hit. So I don't know what kind of situation I would have been looking at if I'd been trying to get them printed right now. I don't know how much has changed in terms of all that stuff. But yeah, it's made it a lot more complicated. And it is weird that, my shop based in the States makes it weird for a lot of folks who correctly identify me as Canadian because I am, and I am living in Canada, but they're like, "What's with the postage to Canada, man?" Like, it's extra expensive, and it's gotten even more expensive, of course, with how things have gone just as of late. So I don't know. Always trying to figure this out. It is, man, it's hard running a small business.
I bet. Yeah, it's not easy these days, that's for sure. And
Mhm.
speaking of not easy, you mentioned how you also have a foot in the animation industry and motion pictures. So, and we talked about this a few years ago, but given the current status of AI today, and literally today, I wanted to get your thoughts. Has your thoughts about AI changed at all? Is it better for you, worse? What's the deal?
Well, honestly can't remember exactly what I said time we spoke about this, John, but I can imagine that my opinion of it hasn't shifted any. Not to sound too much like a Luddite, but I'm absolutely opposed to AI in any and all forms it takes. I mean, I don't know, we've had like pretty much 200 years worth of science fiction writers telling us that this is a really stupid idea to do and pursue, and a million warnings about how this is all going to end, but yet we are seemingly, led by a bunch of sort of short-term gain folks who just want to slap AI stickers on everything. And I don't know, it frustrates me. And as an artist, it's just like, I just don't see the point. I think it's all over the internet, that meme or quote of like, I want AI to do my laundry and like mow the lawn, but I don't want AI taking away what I actually like to do in life. Like, why
Mhm.
would you have it, do the things that give us purpose? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me, but that's me.
Right. No, that's fair. That's fair. Sure, sure. So we've been talking about the third twisted Graham Annable Doodle collection. I'm wondering, what else do you have in the go? Is there anything that you can talk about?
What can I talk about? I mean, the unfortunate thing of working in animation and especially working in story, I'm kind of part of the first crew that's on a production. And so that means it's the early stages, and that means everyone signed NDAs and nothing's been announced, and I can't talk about anything.
Okay.
But let me think. I do have a new graphic novel that came out just this summer that is just, I don't know if you remember, John, but I did a series called Peter and Ernesto of two sloth buddies,
Hmm.
and it's aimed at early readers and kids that are just learning to read and a younger set. And I have done now a new book called Hide and Seek with Clyde and Monique. And that came out from HarperCollins, or Harper Alley, I guess is the portion of HarperCollins that published it in the I Can Read Comics series. And that just recently came out. And it's sort of like a warm up to Where's Waldo, where basically one of the kids, Clyde, is hiding throughout the story as Monique tries to find him. And you can find Clyde and little tiny little pieces of the panel here and there all the way through the book. And I was hoping it's going to be super fun for kids to look and try to find Clyde all the way through all the pages. But that book is just freshly out. And then I've got a second book that'll be coming out next spring from Harper as well. And again, for the sort of early reader set graphic novel. But I guess it hasn't been announced yet. So I guess I can't say the title yet. But I'm nearly finished that.
Great, great.
And yeah, and I'm just storyboarding on numerous films that, yeah, I guess I can't say anything.
Sure.
I did storyboard on Angry Birds 3. That was announced, but I'm finished on that project because, again, story's the first on and the first off, and they're busily animating the rest of that feature. But I did work on that, and that was a lot of fun.
Nice. Good to hear. Good to hear. So, with everything that you have going on today and in the future, where do you recommend that people go online to find out all about you?
Well, like a lot of other artists, I am spread amongst many different social media apps these days. I guess primarily Instagram is a great spot to find information on me. Blue Sky, Mastodon, Threads. I don't know. I'm all over the map there. But if all of that just sounds too much to keep track of, if you just type in Grickle and find grickle.com, that will take you to my website, which will then act as a nice hub to get you to wherever you need to go for finding out information on what I'm up to.
Thanks to Graham for the chat. You can discover more about Graham Annable at grickle.com and on Instagram at grickle14. And thank you for tuning in to the True North Country Comics podcast. I invite you to visit the True North Country Comics website to listen to even more conversations from creators on making comic books and graphic novels. I also encourage you to subscribe via the website so you'll be notified about new podcast interviews and article posts. This podcast is available wherever podcasts are enjoyed. Please like, follow, and subscribe. Remember, you can follow along True North Country Comics on most social media sites, and you're encouraged to send any and all feedback to John at truenorthcountrycomics.com. Thanks for tuning in, and come back soon for another episode. Bye for now. True North Country Comics Podcast is copyright True North Country Comics, copyright 2025.